Guys, I have something good for you today. Look at this. Look at this. It's another super shoe, and it's light, and it's stiff, and there's a big Brooks logo. And yes, this is going to be my review of the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5. And needless to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, that this is Brooks' fastest race shoe ever. Let's get into it. First of all, I do just want to say thank you to Brooks. They were good enough to send me this pair of the Hyperion Elite 5 for the purpose of review. However, they haven't told me what to say. They don't have any editorial privileges, and all the thoughts and opinions are my own. With that said, you're going to be able to pick up a pair of the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5 for $275. And of course, I will place a link in the show notes below in case you want to pick up a pair for yourself. And you may want to. This shoe offers a lot. So my friends, yes, this is a super shoe. This is a shoe made for race day. And at least in my opinion, I think this is going to be good for a lot of races. So it is made for the marathon distance. We have the max amount of stack height that is allowed according to World Athletics in the marathon. But at least for me, the Hyperion Elite 5 has been very versatile, and it's very light, and it's very breathable, and it looks like $1 million. I mean, this is a good looking race shoe. And now that I'm actually looking at it with this, with the light shining on me through the shoe, I think this could be the most breathable shoe that I have. Because with the light on this side, it's like an X-ray. I can see inside the entire shoe. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's talk stack. The Brooks Hyperion Elite 5 has 40 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop. Now, according to Brooks, the Hyperion Elite 5 in a US men's size 9 will tip the scale at 6.9 ounces or 196 grams. However, in my size, a US men's size 13, it'll tip the scale at only 8.4 ounces, 238 grams. So it is a very light shoe. Maybe not the lightest, yet there are some other slightly lighter shoes out there, but guys, the Hyperion Elite 5, it's definitely a competitor. Oh, and as far as sizing goes, yes, this fits me true to size. I am the same size in the Hyperion Elite 5 as I am in all other Brooks shoes, and it just fits my foot very well. There's no need to adjust for sizing on this model. So why don't we start at the top, and we're going to work our way down. And yeah, this is exactly what we would expect. It is a very minimal heel collar with the padding just slightly recessed. There is a nice half moon shape of kind of bolster padding, an 1/8 inch in from the lip of the shoe, and it actually provides a good amount of padding. Like when my foot is in there, I'm feeling locked in. Now, the heel counter, it's fairly flexible. The heel counter itself is just a very thin piece of plastic. And you see how thin that is? If I pinch the upper on the sides, you can see right there, it's probably just a thumb's width. And it isn't totally rigid. Like I can kind of press it and bend it. So if you are someone that does like a very stiff heel counter, which is going to be unusual in race day shoes, then you may have to make some adjustments with a Hyperion Elite 5. But saying that, we have included this extra lace hole right here. So if you wanted to do the runner's lock, you know, the heel lock lacing, you are going to be able to do that on the Hyperion Elite 5. As far as fit goes, and I did allude to some heel slip, I didn't experience any heel slip that made me want to do the lace lock method. When I did start running in it, I did have to retie my laces just to get just a little bit more of a midfoot lockdown, which fixed the slip I had in the heel. But I kind of put that down to first time mistakes when I put my foot in the shoe. In fact, you can see how the back of the shoe kind of just leans forward, and it actually fit my foot very well. But of course, there are going to be some of you out there that are sensitive to a shoe that doesn't have a really rigid heel counter, and for that, you do have the lace lock. Now, the upper. I'm going to say the upper is my favorite thing about this shoe, and I absolutely love it. I wish Brooks would just put this upper on all their shoes. It is so light, it is so breathable, and it's actually a TPU pressed upper, so it feels quite rough to the hands. I don't know how comfortable this would be if you were going to, not wear socks with it, but I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, not wearing socks, especially in a race day shoe, is probably a recipe for disaster. And also, just not my favorite thing to think about with all that foot sweat kind of soaking directly into the shoe. Your socks kind of give it a little barrier, right? Now, while we're on the upper, I should say that I didn't have a chance to run in the Hyperion Elite 4 PB, but I did have a chance to run in the Hyperion Elite 4, and the upper was my favorite thing about this shoe too. And the difference between the Hyperion Elite 4 and the Hyperion Elite 5 is that the upper is just slightly improved. It was super breathable on the Hyperion Elite 4. It is now super duper breathable on the Hyperion Elite 5. Now, as far as overlays go, there really aren't that many. In fact, you can probably see all of them on camera. We have a little bit of structure coming around this heel. We have the Brooks on both the lateral and the medial side, but that's just sublimated. That's not going to take up any weight or add any weight to the shoe. We have an underlay that's coming around the toe box, just to give that a little extra structure. And then the upper is just slightly reinforced just above the midsole foam, And again, that is just to give the upper a little structure to keep it off your foot. Something I did notice, well, I noticed it by looking at it, but not actually by running in it, and that's that the toe box seems to be quite low. Now, again, this wasn't actually noticeable when I was on the run, and I can honestly say that I didn't notice it, I didn't feel it. This is only since I've been sitting here and I'm looking at it, it does appear to be a quite low shoe. But remember, this is a race day shoe. Race day shoes are going to fit in kind of a race day fit, right? They're going to be a little tighter, a little more fitted. But now that I've just said that, I think that the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5 will fit people with wider feet than me. And I never once thought that I was a little constricted in the upper of the Hyperion Elite 5. It fit very well. Now, Brooks has also reinforced the upper around the eyelet chain, but the eyelet chain is a little different. We have these kind of faux suede little loops that the laces are just looped through, and then these faux suede loops are sewn into the upper. It works very well, and I think it adds just a lovely style element to it. And now we're talking about style, and I know style is just totally subjective, but guys, this is a beautiful shoe. This is probably the best looking Brooks shoe that I've ever seen, and Brooks has really just upped their styling game over the last couple of years. One more thing that I hope you appreciate, I absolutely love it, is that Brooks has included their serrated laces. These are the laces with the little ridges on them, so when you tie the bow, when you tie the knots, it's just going to really lock together and not come untied. Now, I will say that most laces don't come untied. There's always a chance that they come untied, and with serrated laces, that chance goes down, and that is what I am here for, especially on race day. When I tie my shoes on, I don't want them to come untied for anything. I mean, till the end of the race, and I'm ready to take them off. These serrated laces are what I would like to see on all race day shoes, and I'm happy to see them on the Hyperion Elite 5. The tongue is just what we would expect. It is a super thin, very breathable tongue. We have padding just down the middle. It's actually a good amount of padding. So I'm going to say that no one is going to experience any kind of lace bite from pressure of the laces on the top of your foot. It's very well placed. The tongue is sewn to the upper on the medial side. So the tongue is actually sewn to the upper right about here. So I wouldn't call it gusseted. A gusset is when the tongue is kind of tied to the base of the shoe. So it's just sewn in right here. And then on the lateral side, the tongue is not attached. Now, something that did take a little attention when I'm putting my foot into the Hyperion Elite 5 is that, I didn't take any photos, so I'm just going to kind of hold this up and show you, but the tongue is very thin. And on the side, I found that when I put my foot in, if I put my foot in too fast, the tongue kind of folded over on the top of my foot. Now, from a performance perspective, that wasn't actually something that I noticed. In fact, the first time I went out for a run in the Hyperion Elite 5, I was really excited. I just kind of quickly put my foot in, laced them down, realized my heel was a little loose, relaced them, and then went out for a run. It was only when I came back that I was like kind of messing around with them, looking at them on my feet, that I noticed that the tongue had kind of folded in under itself on top of my foot. So all that to say that I didn't notice it was folded over on top of my foot until after the run. But if you are someone that, that may bother you, that little extra bit of material on top of your foot, it would easily be fixed by just kind of like paying attention when you're putting your shoes on. Maybe sticking a finger down and just pulling it out to the side to adjust it. That is my only complaint about the tongue, and it's really not a complaint, because when it didn't work, it was 100% user error. Oh, there are also 2 lace loops on the front, so yeah, the tongue isn't going anywhere. It's really not going anywhere because it is attached to the upper, but if you're paranoid about the tongue moving at all, the lace loops are going to keep it in check. Okay, let's come down to the midsole, because again, Brooks has made some big changes. Of course, we saw this DNA gold on the Hyperion Elite 4 PB, and we're using the same foam, the 100% PBA DNA gold in the Hyperion Elite 5, except this time we've got these cutouts on both sides with these like little beach balls kind of touching each other here on the medial side and then again on the lateral side. And I think that really adds some style points to the shoe. I mean, as if it needed any more style points, it gets additional style points for this kind of beach ball midsole. But look guys, this isn't just form, it is function also, because these cutouts serve to let the foam expand and then rebound more than they would so without it. Now, I did say it was 2 pieces of DNA gold kind of squashed together, and then in between those 2 layers of DNA gold is an Aris carbon fiber Speedvolt Plus plate. And from the lateral side, yeah, you can kind of see the thin line of the plate, but on the medial side, the lower level DNA gold is just recessed just a little bit, and you can see the plate there, and it does say Speedvolt Plus on it. Now, here's the thing about the Aris carbon fiber Speedvolt Plus plate. They haven't just made one plate and then kind of, shrunk it for the smaller shoes and just made it bigger for the bigger shoes. No, each Speedvolt Plus plate is customized for the size of the shoe. And it isn't just customized by size, it is customized by stiffness. Oh, and by the way, while we're talking about stiffness, this is an extremely stiff shoe. It offers a lot of pop. But what I mean by it's customized for stiffness, in that in the smaller shoe, people with smaller feet are generally going to weigh less than people with bigger feet because our feet are generally in proportion to the rest of our bodies. So in effect, a lighter person does not need to have as stiff a plate as a heavier person, right? That's where the customization comes in. And I never actually thought of this before and how important that is, because if you don't customize it, then that means that people of a certain size of the shoe are going to be getting the optimum amount of stiffness, and then others may not. Now, of course, this all may be just marketing speak, but it seems to make sense somewhat to me. But now that we're done with the midsole, let's come down to the outsole, and you can see we have a good amount of outsole rubber here on the forefoot at least. Now, in the heel, we got these two little skids here on the back, and these are really quite low. Now, look, I know Brooks is trying to save weight wherever they can, and that's the reason for this. But as a heel striker, I say it on every pair of shoes I run in, I'm a heel striker. Now, when I run fast, yeah, I'll tend to land more midfoot, but then I start getting tired of running fast and my form starts to degrade. And I do end up hitting down right here on my lateral heel edge. And I am seeing a little bit of wear on the midsole foam. And that's because the rubber doesn't go all the way to the very edge of the midsole foam, which is fine. I don't think it's going to affect my performance. But because of that, I am seeing just a little bit of wear on the rubber itself and then again on the midsole foam right next to it. Still, the wear is it's not terrible. And as far as race day shoes, I am going to say that this is going to last an average amount of miles or kilometers. But I also think that the lifespan is going to be significantly different for different types of runners. I don't think the Hyperion Elite 5 are going to last me as long as someone that runs with a pure forefoot strike. Then, saying that, we can see how the split where the carbon fiber plate is kind of starts high here and then scoops down. It's a little lower. In fact, when I look at it direct on like this, it does seem to have a pretty significant scoop, which tells me that this shoe is going to work very well for heel strikers. And in fact, it did work very well for me. It felt smooth, it felt fast, it felt like a super shoe, or what I like to feel in a super shoe. So now let's just talk about ride quickly, because the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5, it's fairly soft. It's not as soft as some other competitors, and I think that is a good thing. I think a lot of people don't like a too soft shoe. And although I would describe the Hyperion Elite 5 as soft, this is going to be very difficult to articulate. I wouldn't describe it as a soft shoe because when I think of soft, I'm thinking of some other shoes, and yet I would still not call this firm in any way whatsoever. It's still a soft shoe. It still gives you that soft landing and then propulsive pickup. But if you have watched any other reviews on the Hyperion Elite 5, you're probably going to see some people saying something like, oh, I think it'll work better for the half marathon. And I think that is because it is just slightly firmer than some of the competitors, right? We heard the same thing with the Vaporfly 4. And just like with the Nike Vaporfly 4, I think the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5 is going to be an epic marathon racer. I just think it will also perform well at the half marathon, 5K and 10K. I think it's very versatile. Now, as far as stability goes, I found it to be very stable underfoot. I can honestly say I didn't have any issues. There was no fear of going around a corner and then kind of the shoe rolling off because you feel like the stack is too high. But I do recognize that I think for some people, we have a very thin midfoot here, and that could create some stability issues for some runners. But for me, not at all. Guys, if you are looking at picking up a pair of the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5, you're probably not just looking at this alone. There are probably some other shoes out there that you're also considering. So if you're in the market for a super shoe and you're thinking about the Hyperion Elite 5, I think you'll also be looking at the New Balance SC Elite V5. Now, the New Balance SC Elite 5 will cost $250. So right off the bat, it's $25 less than the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5. We have the same stack height of 40 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot, 8mm drop, both shoes. And in my size, the SC Elite V5 tips the scale at 247 grams, so it weighs 9 grams more than my size in the Hyperion Elite 5. Next up, I think you'll also be looking at the Adidas Pro 4. Now again, the Adidas Pro 4 is only $250. I say only, like, $250 is nothing. It is something, and it's definitely something. And it's $25 less than the Hyperion Elite 5. But the Adidas Pro 4 has slightly lower stack height and lower drop. We have 39 in the heel, 33 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. My size tips the scale at 233 grams. So the Adidas Pro 4 is 5 grams lighter than my size of the Hyperion Elite 5. And finally, I've already mentioned it, but we do have to compare it to the Nike Vaporfly 4. Now, first of all, I want to talk about weight because there isn't much that can compete against the Nike Vaporfly 4. It weighs 218 grams in my size. That means it's 20 grams lighter than my size of the Hyperion Elite 5, but you are giving up some stack height. Remember, the stack on the Vaporfly 4 went down to 35 in the heel, 29 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. So the Hyperion Elite 5 has 5 extra millimeters of stack height in the heel and 3 extra millimeters in the forefoot. That could make a difference on race day, especially when you're getting tired. And you can pick up a pair of the Vaporfly 4 for $270. So it's only $5 less expensive than the Hyperion Elite 5. So What do you think? I tell you what I think. I think Brooks has a real banger on their hands. I think it is very competitive with other shoes in the market at around the same price. And I think if you were to pick up a pair of the Hyperion Elite 5, you would not be disappointed. It's a solid race day shoe. So now I want to hear from you. Have you run in any of the Hyperion Elites over the years? And what is your favorite Brooks shoe ever? Drop a comment and let me know. But for now, it's Matt B. This has been my review of the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.